Good morning. I'm not as cool as that song, but I appreciate that. Aho, ponka moshe, wongide. Ponka moshe, lashbahan, de wanoche, ijazekti abdi, wishti, usni ponka, sichangu lakota abdi. Good morning, everybody. My name is Larry Wright Jr. I'm a citizen of the Ponca tribe of Nebraska. My Ponca name is Buffalo Spirit, and it's an honor to be here. I'm a descendant, a citizen of the Ponca tribe, and also a descendant of the Sichangu Lakota. It truly is an honor to be here today with you all as Executive Director for National Congress of American Indians. And before I get started, I'd like to take a moment to recognize members of our Executive Committee that are here today to show the unity and the strength and the partnership that NCAI has with the National Center. So I'd like our Executive Committee members to please stand and be recognized. Please give them a round of applause. They're my bosses. I'll get in trouble if I didn't do that. The Reservation Economic Summit has long been a place for people to gather and share creative solutions, success stories, and replicable best practices to advance economic development in our communities and beyond. I want to share some updates on the efforts of the National Congress of American Indians since I was last on this stage last year. NCAI has advanced a robust agenda in partnership with Congress and the administration, grounded in tribal sovereignty, self-governance, and economic development, cultural protection, equitable federal funding. NCAI is pressing Congress to convert historically discretionary tribal program lines into advanced or mandatory appropriations, ensuring stability and honoring trust obligations for our people. On the regulatory front, NCAI is engaging with the administration to safeguard tribal voices in policymaking and consultation processes, especially around emerging areas such as digital sovereignty, environmental stewardship, and public safety. Through sustained advocacy, formal resolutions, and direct engagement with lawmakers and agency officials, NCAI is promoting a bipartisan framework for tribal federal cooperation that treats tribal nations as equal partners in the nation-to-nation relationship. In 2026, NCAI will remain focused on securing lasting policy reforms, ensuring predictable funding for tribal programs, and strengthening the structural relationship between tribal governments and the federal government. Not long ago, at one of these summits here in Vegas, I met some friends who took that conversation outside of the United States, across medicine lines and back to the lands that were once shared by all of the Ojibwe, the Coast Salish, and Mohawk Nation. Our relatives across the Great Plains, around the Great Lakes, and through the Atlantic were divided by arbitrary geopolitical lines. Lines drawn without our consultation, memorialized in treaties we were not invited to sign. But relations between our people never stopped. Trade didn't end. Traditions continued, and we are family on both sides of that border. Yesterday, today, and forever. It was here at Res that we met with our relatives to the north once more. It was here and we explored what a sacred reunion might look like. What might be done if we unite our efforts again and re-cement our agreement of fraternity and mutual support. At NCAI, we recognize our voice is always stronger together and united. How can we build on that momentum and strengthen that voice internationally? In 1999, NCAI and the Assembly of First Nations entered into a declaration of kinship and cooperation among Indigenous peoples and nations of North America. This declaration ensured impactful collaboration between our representative bodies in an effort to advance the collective aspirations of American Indians, Alaska Natives, and First Nations peoples. on matters of international nature and concern. Today, our organizations come together again to renew our commitment to joint efforts representing and advancing the well-being of the original occupants of North America on this Majund Unda, this good earth, Turtle Island. This renewed declaration of kinship and cooperation ensures a united voice on the international stage at a time when Indigenous peoples need it most. It ensures mutual respect and solidarity on shared interests and priorities, regardless of our position relative to the border. It ensures further opportunities for engagement and collaboration between our youth as we elevate our leaders of today and tomorrow. We recognize that many of the conversations that make agreements like this possible do not occur without the convenings like RES. And we again thank NCAIED Chris James, his staff, and their board members for providing time with you all today to formally certify this sacred declaration. I'm proud to be joined today by President Mark Macarro from NCAI and National Chief Cindy Woodhouse Nepinak to memorialize this agreement. Before I turn the floor over to them, I want to invite you all to join us at our NCAI mid-year convention and marketplace in Memphis, Tennessee, June 14th through the 17th. Registration is live as of this morning, so please register. Also, please save the date for our 83rd annual convention and marketplace this October 18th through the 22nd in Palm Springs, California. And a little housekeeping. At the end of General Assembly, we would like to call up our executive committee from NCAI, the AFN delegation, as well as the NCAIED board members for a picture. We can't do that now because getting tribal leaders together is like herding cats. It'll take too much time. So we'll do that at the end of General Assembly. But again, I want to thank the National Center for allowing us to be a part of this amazing event. Please join me in welcoming to the podium NCAI President Mark Macarro and National Chief Cindy Woodhouse Nepinak.
Hello, everybody, and good morning. My name is Mark Macarro, and I'm the tribal chairman for the Pechanga Band of Indians in California, but I'm here as the proud president of the National Congress of American Indians. I'm honored to be joined by you this morning. We have something that is of hope and promise, and I think it's something we can use a lot of these days. National Chief Nepinak is here to sign this agreement between our organizations. We're deeply grateful to RES and our friends here for creating spaces for innovative, aspirational, and even international ideas that can take root and flourish here. Now, more than ever, it's important to reaffirm and stand by all tribal nations, the First Peoples, throughout the world. Every day we face real threats to our sovereignty and self-determination. NCAI and AFN are at the forefront of ensuring governments recognize one sacred truth, that tribal nations and our citizens are sovereign, not just interest groups. Our authority predates modern governments and is rooted in our inherent relationship to the land, to the water, to our peoples, to our cultures, our traditions, and to our self-governance. In 1999, NCAI and AFN entered into a declaration of kinship and cooperation among the Indigenous peoples and nations of North America, solidifying our relationship and shared understanding that even though Indigenous peoples and nations have distinct identities, cultures, languages, and traditions, many are nonetheless guided by similar beliefs and common experiences. Today, we renew that first declaration and incorporate over 27 years of friendship and collaboration in achieving these shared goals. This relationship is more than a partnership. It's a living expression of shared history, shared struggle, and shared responsibility. When NCAI and AFN stand together, we amplify our message that Indigenous nations are not relics. We are not relics of the past, but strong and sovereign governments of the present. Please join me in welcoming Assembly of First Nations National Chief Cindy Woodhouse Nepinak as we come together in solidarity for the advancement of our nations. Welcome.
It's a beautiful morning. I'd like to thank the Las Vegas Peyote tribe for welcoming us to your traditional territory. And I have to say that this day brings me just great hope and great joy as we know Creator put us on these lands and we never created borders, and that we need to get back to that original relationship of kinship with each other. It's such an honor to be here. I want to thank the elders who did the prayer this morning, miigwech to the people who did the pipe ceremony this morning. I recognize all the ceremonial items and in this room, and I recognize, of course, our leadership in attendance. I want to thank President Macarro and the NCAI for joining us to begin this next chapter in the relationship between our two organizations. For those of you that don't know me, I'm National Chief Cindy Woodhouse, and I'm from the Assembly of First Nations. We bring greetings on behalf of our First Nations in Canada, which include over 633 strong, independent First Nations from coast to coast to coast across our country. My role as National Chief, of course, is to advocate for First Nations priorities as directed by our First Nations in Assembly to protect our collective and our inherent rights. I grew up just a few hours north of Winnipeg, Manitoba, in the Penamutang First Nation in Treaty 2 territory, surrounded by my family and by my culture. I sat with my grandmother for hours and stayed with her 3 days a week. And being surrounded by my family and my culture was absolutely imperative. I also watched my dad lead as a chief in our community for many, many years, and as the grandson of Chief Richard Woodhouse, an original signatory of Treaty Number 2 that was signed on August 21st of 1871. Without that gift of being surrounded by my culture, language, and family, we couldn't be here today. The truth is that too many of our people have not had that opportunity. They've had their culture and their identity stolen at an early age. Sadly, we share a painful history with many of you of colonization, dehumanization, discrimination, and violence. Sadly, others overtook our traditional territories and our lands. Our people have been displaced. Our lands and waters have been disrespected. Our cultures were denigrated, and our children were placed in residential institutions designed for assimilation and genocide. Despite this painful history, our power and our agency grow as we become more united. This is why now is a good time to mobilize and collaborate for the shared prosperity of every nation across Turtle Island. First Nations lands hold the key to much of North America's wealth in critical minerals and energy resources, pivotal to domestic trade. In Canada, the estimated value of these development projects on First Nations territories exceeds $600 billion. But they won't happen without our free, prior, and informed consent of First Nations people. Since becoming National Chief in 2023, we have had the pleasure of meeting with President Macarro on numerous occasions. The first was just after the 2024 US election, when he invited me to the NCAI's Winter Congress in Washington, D.C. It was just after that that the other president was elected. We agreed it was an important time to renew our kinship, because I think we could see clearly what was coming with Trump. With that, we invited President Macarro to attend our assembly, Annual General Assembly, the following year to start discussions about renewing our kinship and cooperation agreement. That happened last fall on Treaty 1 territory. We had a great session there, which has led us to today. So we start by honoring our leaders who over 25 years ago had the vision to complete the original statement of partnership between our two national organizations. They had the wisdom to formalize our collaboration, to honor those impacted by government-run boarding and residential schools, to protect our lands, air, water, and animals for generations to come. They wisely focused on mutual goals related to sovereignty, sustainable development, and cross-border trade. Because border mobility is an inherent right for our people, for all of us in this room, that have engaged in international trade across these ancestral lands since time immemorial, since God put us here. It can't be threatened regardless of political climate. First Nations have long-standing rights to cross the Canada-US border and engage in trade as affirmed in Canada's Constitution, the United Nations Declaration, and the Jay Treaty. That first kinship declaration was signed in 1999, just over 1,000 miles from here, on the territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people in Vancouver. While that seems like long ago and far away, the partnership being renewed does not stray away from the original vision of our elders. Even though borders were imposed on our ancestors, the relationships among our peoples never stopped. As President Macarro often says, trade did not end, traditions endured. So my wish for all First Nations is to be inspired by this partnership and to keep building new paths forward, to go beyond colonial constructs designed to prevent First Nations and tribes from working together. Because despite the risks we face with the Canada-US trade and growth of extremism around the world, we stand here today very optimistic, because First Nations on both sides of the medicine line are already making so much positive change. We see it happening all around us here this week, and we see the change back home, from landmark cases on First Nations policing and child welfare to mineral rights and treaty settlements worth billions of dollars. First Nations are winning in Canadian courts. We see the positive change at our National Assembly and forums, where they're always sold out. We are hosting across the country. Also, we've got historic meetings later this year for the first time in 42 years, with Canada's First Ministers, the provinces, and the Prime Minister, with First Nations around the table properly, the way that it should always be. But that took a lot of hard work from people before us. We will also be meeting with His Holiness Pope Leo. We got our Vatican, we pushed the Vatican, and we reclaimed back our artifacts that were in the Vatican for over 150 years, and we brought them home. And just to close off on that, we will see King Charles III and make sure that the world knows that our people are here and that we're strong and that we are the nation that we're supposed to be. The United Nations Declaration affirms that our contribution to humankind through rich and diverse cultures, it recognizes that we are equal to all others and respects our differences. So let this declaration of kinship, among the first peoples and nations of North America, be a demonstration to colonial governments that it is possible to tackle difficult cross-border discussions and shine a light on solutions. United, we can do anything we put our minds to, and in uncertain times, we need to look out for each other and for new opportunities that may emerge. Through it all, and through this important kinship agreement we are renewing today, we will be there with you, together, just as our elders and our ancestors had wanted. Let's work closer together, and let's remember who we are and where we come from. Miigwech.
Thank you, National Chief. And now we'll do the signing of the declaration.
You want me to put the date? What's the date today?
We can fill that.
March what?
24th.
This.
One here.
Thank you, sir. Would you like to present your leadership? Okay, we're going to get closed out here with an honor song by Mr. Terry Nelson, but I also want to invite you to join us at 3:30 today in the Sorrento Room, where the Assembly here, delegation, and NCAI will hold a meeting talking about this event, answer any questions that people may have. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Amigos, and Margaret, much good day, Kings, Disney cause Bijou to them. One is Kazibi, New Engipa. So we're going to sing a song for the student that signed us. And we ask you, my brother Jim is going to sing the song, the Sundance song. I know one of our we have shared a lot of common history with Dakota, and the Anishinaabe people of Manitoba. So we're going to sing them this song. Thank you for being here. It's really good to see you, so many of you. And, you know, you've come a long ways. You know, the gaming has done quite a bit for us. And we want to look at, in Canada, some pressure from here to make sure that the federal government of Canada recognizes our rights. And just one more quick thing. We're down here to talk about pharmaceuticals. America spends $633 billion a year on pharmaceuticals. We're manufacturing them up in Canada. We're looking for distribution here in the United States. Over 500 Native American gaming tribes, and you have a lot of people going in there. We're looking to get about $20 billion of that market, of the $633 billion. We're looking at about a net of about $3 billion. That's what we're down here for. So we'll sing this song for them, for all of the hard work that they've been doing. My brother Jim, Sundancer, I'd like him to explain this song.
Bonjour, qui je crois que je ne casse pas jaune tout le temps. When you go at the anyway, give me a show, Mr. Luigi, or anyway, where's that match? When you go, I've tried that. I met this young man on my Sundance Trail, and he was a young Dakota man. He gave me the song. He gave me some other songs, but even my grandkids sing it, and they sing lots of songs, and we picked it up as a family. Now, I appreciate the opportunity to sing, but it's about, we shouldn't forget about our relationship to Grandpa, Grandma. And this is what the Sama does. No matter how much money we have, how many things, we need to remember the grandfathers, the land. I apologize for the Lakota people if I sing it a little bit off, but this is how I learned it. Then I walk on it all your head. Then I walk on it all your head. Chanu Pakide, walk on it all your head. Then I walk on it all your head. Jabby Abington. Then I walk on your hay. Then I walk on your hay. Chanu Pakile, walk on your hay. Then I walk on your hay. Hey, hey.